What's up, guys? For today's video, I'm going to go in depth on entries and exits for the orb strategy, kind of, what I use. I'll use QQQ and V as some examples, and, what I look for when I'm taking profit or, getting out of place. So the first thing I'm going to do the night before, right when preparing, my watch was preparing levels to watch, I'm just going to use the hourly and look for, key levels where these have acted as both support and resistance and where the big moves are. In this case, here are some noted levels, that I've looked over for QQQ, have really used in the past. So the first thing, 15-minute, I'm going to use this orb. First, we had a gap down today. And when I really use the orb strategy is on gap downs. I like it a lot. It helps when we've gapped, in this case below levels, a call or a put trigger, and it really just helps me establish levels for taking calls and puts, as I am a levels based trader. So what I'm going to do, use the high and low of this first candle here. So we do have a high at, let's see, 354.34. Throw that in here. I'll flip this to blue, make it a little bit easier to see. And the low is actually right at that level at 352.5. So I'm going to throw this in blue. Notice for, big level. So I'm going to use that as the bottom. Flip over here to the 5-minute candle. Perfect. So I already have levels mapped out, right? So one thing I've noticed about the orb method is waiting on a retest in order to enter into calls or puts. In this case, QQQ did respect a little better than SPY did this morning. And, the reason being is if we do have, say, in SPY's case, 3 red candles in a row, that fourth candle is probably going to be red, right? So I'm going to wait on a retest, see how it reacts to that put trigger that we've established off of our orb, and then enter into calls or puts, whatever it might be. So in this case, look how well this is respected. So I'm going to wait for a close above our levels, right? In this case, we close above that 354.34 here at 10:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Cool. If we missed that move, then we have this nice hammer candle, closes above the level. Even the next candle tests that level and bounces. So we have multiple points of inflection, multiple points of entry in terms of taking profits. So for me, I scale in thirds, first being that 20% level, that second being the next big resistance. So in this case, say I enter here on this 1045 candle, nice hammer candle. I like to enter calls on those hammer type candles, especially around key levels. So my first target would be that 20%. Next thing, the next big level I had charted out was at 357.4 level. Nice, like that a lot. It does end up hitting it later in the day, but maybe, you want to take profits earlier. So in terms of QQQ and SPY, 356 is a very, very big level. But the importance of mapping out levels and where to scale is very, very important. Not only on QQQ, SPY, but any ticker, right? And using orb is, as I talked about earlier, I use it when there are gaps and our levels are washed. I find that works a lot better as it creates levels for me to trade off of. Cool. All right, so let's say this little frame here is what we're taking calls or puts off of. And say I play a failed call trigger here later in the day. My first target is going to be the bottom of that orb. All that orb is new support and resistance, key levels. So that's going to be my first target. My first scale is going to be at that 20%. My next target, next scale is going to be down here at 352.5. This just helps me with that mental side of things and really gives me a place to scale out of. Everything else, still in play. Still using a stop loss, still respecting that stop loss. Still just watching, how these candles interact with the levels that we have established. Now, I talked about SPY earlier and the chop. So I'm going to go a little bit in depth on that and why I believe in waiting on a retest, especially in those first couple minutes after the orb, or those first 10 minutes, which would be 2 candles. The first candle can be a bit choppy, as expected before, but so the high and low here today on SPY, first candle 447.31, low at 446.13. Cool. Flip over here to the 5-minute chart. Awesome. So this is the chop right here. We get to close below our put trigger, right? So in general terms, that's where I would like to enter. But I'm gonna wait on a retest. Next candle closes above the level, pretty bullish candle. Next candle, another bearish candle, and then another bull candle before a real big move. Shoots up $1, passes through our call trigger. Decent move, but just waiting, being patient, and knowing the candle type really helps. Sit out that next candle after on the 15. Now for V. This can work on any ticker, and the reason being I'm choosing V here is because we had a gap up yesterday and a gap down today. So we can see how this interacts. Flip over here to the 15. All right, so yesterday's high and low orb. I had these predetermined levels. Yesterday we gapped above what would be a possible call trigger. Let me use this orb here, low at 217.6 as my put trigger, call at 219.27. Perfect. All right, now flip over here to the 5-minute. I'm gonna go ahead and map out today's levels as well. High, oops. Use this high. Nope, that's not what we wanted. Use this high here, 216.63, perfect. And the low here, 215.16. All right, cool. Flip over to 5, look into some executions. Some people use EMAs in terms of a price target. I think that's okay, but EMAs are a lagging indicator, right? So I like trading off of price action. It helps me a little bit more, and it also, it's a lagging indicator. EMAs are, so I can get in and out of plays faster than people who base off of EMAs simply by playing price action. So let's go to yesterday. Yesterday, 219.27 call, 217.6 put trigger. Awesome. So 2 nice entry points here. That first candle right after, which would be the 945 to 950 candle, I want to sit out of. In this case, it doesn't really test that put trigger yet, but the next 2 candles do. Very long lower wicks. So this is a good spot for me, low risk spot to add into calls. And as I stated before, that first scale at 20%, and then my first target is going to be up here at that 219.27 level. See how well respected these levels are. Get it again. Maybe you want to play a failed call trigger. In this case, I can enter in here, long upper wick exactly off that level, get a nice close to a retest here again, and then fall down. Get my 20% in here, and then this is my first price target, the bottom of that orb, or the new support that we have established by finding our key levels and using that orb strategy. In terms of a gap down, so today we had a gap down here on V, and pretty similar scenario, right? Tested the 4th one. I'm probably not going to enter in here, just because it's pretty fast on in the orb. I want to see a better retest. Cool, but I can play some failed call failed call triggers later in the day. These are some good candles. Long upper wick. We do get an inside bar here with a long lower wick, so I probably would not enter in this case here. But I do like the fact that we break to the downside, 2D if you're familiar with the strat. And then again, that first target really is going to be that 215.6 level, and then other levels that we have mapped out the day before. Both these get taken out, nice potential gains. That's how I really use and know, where to scale out is that first 20%. Then the levels that I've created based off of the hourly chart mainly as key levels, very important levels. That'll be my second scale. Then I'm going to leave a third for runners, adjust my stop loss up to maybe 20-30%, whatever it may be, or it could be based off of a level, and execute that way. In terms of playing failed call and puts, I'm looking for the same thing, right? I'm looking for long lower wicks for failed put triggers, long upper wicks closing below our level for failed call triggers. And as I stated before, VWAP can be a very, very big indicator for some people as it is commonly used. But overall, it just helps me with adding conviction. So I'm going to trade more off of levels that we've created as both support and resistance. I use the hourly a lot for making my very, very important levels to me because the 15 can be a little bit choppy in terms of levels here and there, especially intraday. So the hourly allows me to break down this information a little bit better and really know where the very big levels are.